Good morning, everyone. I am Rafael Nyawa from the University of Nairobi. I'm a master's student and I'm taking a Master's of Science in Microbiology, Bacteriology option. I'm ready to present to you a presentation from Group 3 on the physiology of gaseous exchange in the lungs. First and foremost, we are a number of us in the group, and we have Ayman, we have Kwadwo, Paul Bieli, and John Mude. John Mude, in this case, is a faculty member. So, on to our business. What is gaseous exchange in the lungs? When we talk about lungs, we have in mind mammals. And mammals are comprised by the animals and human beings. And there are two major gases which are involved in gaseous exchange, and this is oxygen and carbon dioxide. However, in the air, oxygen doesn't occur alone, so it occurs hand in hand with nitrogen, and nitrogen in this case is actually the biggest contributor in terms of percentage. It is 78%, while oxygen is 21%. Carbon dioxide in the air is 0.04%. So it's not so much, but it is so much when we talk about gaseous exchange. And one of the very key thing to note when we talk about gaseous exchange, there is an anatomical element called alveoli, which is a small subunit in the lungs where the gaseous exchange takes place, and oxygen, carbon dioxide, they reach the alveoli for them to exchange, whereby carbon dioxide comes out and then oxygen goes inside. For us to understand gaseous exchange adequately, we also have to think about the physics of gaseous exchange. And when you talk about physics, of course, you have to consider pressure. So for gases to move, there has to be pressure, whereby it's moving from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. In this case, in the air, oxygen has a pressure of around 160 millimeter of mercury, whereas nitrogen has a pressure of 600. But because they occur together, the total pressure of nitrogen and oxygen is 760, isn't it? However, as air moves inside, it normally encounters moisture in the air passages, and this air becomes humidified. Anyway, it's an advantage, however, at disadvantage in the sense some of the molecules are absorbed by this moisture, and therefore when it reaches the alveolar space, the pressure actually is lower, and therefore for oxygen it will be 100. I don't want to talk about nitrogen in this at this level, because why? When we talk about gaseous exchange, I said the two major gases are oxygen and carbon dioxide, and therefore during inhalation we are interested in the oxygen. And nitrogen in the lungs at the alveoli has poor solubility. So some of it, yes, is taken in blood, but to a smaller extent. And if we have a scenario whereby nitrogen is much, then there is a problem in pathology. So we don't talk about nitrogen. So the pressure in the deoxygenated blood for oxygen is around 40. So this gives us a net pressure of around 60. So this is the partial pressure gradient of oxygen. If you look at carbon dioxide in deoxygenated blood, that is the pulmonary blood, it is around 45, and in the alveolar space is around 40. One thing you should notice, during inspiration, not all the air is already absorbed into the blood. Some of it circulates in the alveolar space. Also during exhalation, it is not like every carbon dioxide coming from the blood goes out at the same time. No, some of it is just in the alveolar spaces getting rid slowly by slowly as the body respires in the system through the breathing rates. So therefore, for it to happen, we need to consider this diffusing capacity, and oxygen has a diffusing capacity of 21 ml or millimeters per minute per millimeter of hygrometer. But now when it comes to diffusing capacity, carbon dioxide has the highest diffusing capacity, and this is 440. However, during exercises, the diffusing capacity of oxygen normally increases to the level of 65. You understand? So that is a very good point to note. The other thing you should note is for this gaseous exchange to happen in the lungs, we need oxygen to be transported, and for oxygen to be transported, then as well as carbon dioxide, we need hemoglobin. And hemoglobin, in this sense, we say one hemoglobin contains 4 heme subunits, and every heme subunit, every heme contains 1 ferrous atom, and this 1 ferrous atom actually can combine with 1 oxygen. So 1 hemoglobin can bind 4 oxygen molecules, and the combination of oxygen with hemoglobin is called oxygenation. Oxygenation means it's a process which can be reversed and not oxidation. So kindly take note of the differences. There's no oxidation in the lungs. And then what we need to understand again is the role of the nervous system. This system is controlled by the nervous system, which is having respiratory centers located at the brainstem. So the brainstem, we have the medulla oblongata, we have the pons, and we have the mesencephalon. And then we have the nerves which are innervating the respiratory system. Like we have the phrenic nerves which are innervating the diaphragm, and then we have the vagus nerve which also touches on the diaphragm, larynx, and the pharynx. And then finally we have the posterior thoracic nerves from the spinal cord. For these processes to happen, we need receptors, and these receptors are usually located along the arteries and also in the brain centers. So what they do there, they normally respond to changes in the partial pressure of oxygen, and also sometimes they also look at the acidity in the blood, because when carbon dioxide increases, there is normally acidity associated with it, like the carbonic acids. Finally is on the differences between the different species. When we talk about lungs, this is associated with mammals, as we've already said. But when we talk about birds, then we talk about air sacs and capillaries. That is air capillaries. For reptiles, we have lungs. Amphibians, they have lungs and gills. And then fish, they have gills. But for reptiles, they have lungs without diaphragm. So at this juncture, I want to thank everyone for listening to me, and I want to say thank you so much. I'll be giving citation and references for this presentation. Thank you so much.